Is reality real? Not the question of whether or not the universe is a simulation. If it is, I hardly think that we'd be able to tell. But is our entire reality here on Earth not what it seems? The conclusion I come to frequently is yes, most of us do live in a matrix. Christopher Johnson McCandless was born on February 12, 1968 and graduated from Emory University in 1990 with a double major in history and anthropology. He was what many of us would consider to be privileged. His parents were very successful, affording him the ability to go to a private university without having to take on student loans. After graduating, Christopher decided to donate his college savings to charity and leave the life he knew behind. He traveled across the United States, taking on odd jobs and hitchhiking his way to Alaska. Christopher's ultimate goal was to live off of the land and experience the raw beauty of nature. During his travels, he adopted the alias Alexander Supertramp. He wanted to completely reinvent himself and leave his old life behind, and in April of 1992, he did just that. Christopher made his way to the Stampede Trail in Alaska. After hiking for some time, he discovered an abandoned bus and decided that this would become his new home. He lived off of the land, hunting and gathering food, and he kept a journal of his experiences. Tragically, Christopher's adventure came to an abrupt end on September 6, 1992. His body was discovered by moose hunters just outside of the northern boundary of Denali National Park. It was determined that he died of starvation. Christopher's story became the subject of a book called Into the Wild, written by John Krakauer. And this book was adapted into a movie by the same name starring Emil Hirsch. He was an intelligent and passionate young man that was deeply affected by the discovery that his father had a second family. This revelation, coupled with his anger at the materialism and hypocrisy of society, led him to embark on a journey of self-discovery and adventure. While not all of us have left the comforts of modern society to escape our problems, all of us have had fantasies about living a different life. And for some people, it's much more than just a fantasy. Something just doesn't feel right. Depression is on an astronomical rise. More and more people feel like they don't have a true purpose. They have a sinking feeling that there has to be something more to life than a job they hate and bills they can't afford. The more uncomfortable we get, the more we notice. And the more we notice, the angrier we get. Until soon, we start seeing it all around us. None of it's real. The world we live in has been a lie since the day we were born. Humans have always been tribal animals. Before the modern world of today, we typically lived with our families within a tight-knit community of like-minded individuals. Before government-mandated schools, children were taught everything they needed to know by their parents and trusted members of their community. As the saying goes, it takes a village to raise a child. We all played our part. The very future of the people that we love depended on our ability to take up the mantle of responsibility as a provider for the community. We would follow in the footsteps of our parents, in turn securing a future for our kids. People back then knew who they were. They had a responsibility to one another. They worked hard because they had no choice. Their very survival depended on it. This provided a genuine sense of purpose. In today's world, we send our kids away from their families to schools where they learn about life from people who may or may not share our same values. These schools create an environment where conformity is rewarded and individuality is punished. They keep students confined to classrooms, limiting their exposure to the natural world and real-life experiences. This disconnection from nature can have negative impacts on mental and physical health, as well as hinder the development of essential life skills. Most kids who are raised within city limits no longer learn valuable survival skills, how to hunt or grow food. Instead, they're taught how to follow orders and conform to society. They're taught that their only purpose in life is to get good grades so they can graduate and find a good job working for a company that treats them like a number, with the hopes that one day they'll be able to retire when they reach a ripe old age. They're taught to be cogs in a machine, working towards a purpose that isn't clear and not truly their own, and ultimately left with an eerie feeling of being disconnected to the world around them. In 1999, the groundbreaking movie The Matrix, directed by the Wachowskis, was released. The story follows Thomas Anderson, a computer programmer who moonlights as a hacker under the alias Neo. Neo suffers from the severe feeling of disconnect that many of us feel today. This forces him down a rabbit hole where he discovers the world he knows is a simulated reality called the Matrix, created by intelligent machines to control humans while using their bodies as an energy source. Neo learns that he is the prophesized One, who can manipulate the Matrix and free humanity from the machines. He joins a group of rebels led by Morpheus and Trinity to help him understand his powers and true nature of the Matrix. The group faces off against the agents of the Matrix, led by Agent Smith, who are determined to stop him. In a climactic battle, Neo sacrifices himself to save Morpheus and Trinity, but he is then resurrected and fully realizes his powers as the One. In the end, Neo declares that he will show humanity the truth about the Matrix and free them from the machine's control. This film is a groundbreaking work of science fiction that explores themes of reality, self-discovery, and the nature of humanity. I was 19 years old when this movie came out, and if you're calculating the math on that, yes, I'm that old. But I enjoyed the movie for all the wrong reasons. At the time, it was a groundbreaking action flick, running along walls, dodging bullets, and insane fight scenes. But the true genius behind the film is its undeniable parallels to reality. The movie explores the concept of free will and the individual's search for meaning in a seemingly predetermined world. The characters must choose between the comfortable but false reality of the Matrix or the harsh but true reality of the world. In the Matrix, characters are faced with a choice between taking the blue pill, which allows them to remain in the comfortable but false reality of the Matrix, and the red pill, which reveals the harsh truth of the true world. In Western culture, we face a similar dilemma. Do we choose to live in blissful ignorance, or do we seek the truth even if it's uncomfortable? Many of us choose to stay plugged into the Matrix, consuming endless streams of media and entertainment to distract ourselves from the realities of the world around us. The agents are the enforcers of the Matrix, maintaining order and control over the population. In Western culture, we have our own agents. Corporations work hand in hand with governments to mold social norms. They push agendas that shape our decisions and actions, often without us even realizing it. They can dictate everything from our career choices to our relationships, and it can be difficult to break free from their influence. In the Matrix movie, a group of rebels called the Resistance fights against its agents, and in Western culture, we have our own resistance in the form of individuals and movements that challenge the status quo. Individuals who see past the clever tricks of the real-life Matrix, whose goal is to slowly strip away our freedoms, such as freedom of speech. Under the veil of public safety, they claim to protect us from hate speech, misinformation, and disinformation. But this doesn't seem like protection at all. It seems like control. It's a way for people in power to pick our vocabulary for us and prevent us from saying anything that might question the power of the Matrix. And of course, we can't talk about the Matrix without talking about the Oracle and the Architect, who represent two opposing forces, intuition and logic. In Western culture, we often struggle to balance these two aspects of our lives. We're taught to pursue our dreams and trust our instincts, but we're also encouraged to make rational, data-driven decisions. Finding the right balance between these two forces can be a lifelong journey, but it's essential to living a fulfilling and authentic life. One may dream of being a famous musician or a social media influencer, but logic would dictate that you shouldn't take the risk of making yourself unemployable before reaching that goal. Dropping out of school or getting face tattoos doesn't really matter if you're already rich and famous, but these decisions will hold you back in life if you're not. The Matrix is not just a groundbreaking action flick, but a powerful allegory for the human experience. It challenges us to question the nature of reality and our place in it, and to consider the consequences of the choices we make. It reminds us to be mindful of the forces that seek to control us, and to find the courage to seek the truth and break free from the Matrix. Christopher McCandless was a man who chose the red pill, seeking truth and authenticity in his life. He left behind the comforts of his old life to embark on a journey of self-discovery, living off the land and experiencing the raw beauty of nature. Christopher's story reminds us of the importance of questioning the agents of control in our own lives and striving for a deeper understanding of the world around us. Just as Neo and other characters in the Matrix had to navigate a complex and often dangerous world outside of the Matrix, Christopher faced numerous challenges during his journey. He was forced to confront the harsh realities of the natural world and the limitations of his own abilities, but in doing so, he discovered a deeper sense of purpose and meaning in his life. In the end, Christopher's life and untimely death serve as a powerful reminder of the importance of seeking the truth and living authentically. Like the characters in the movie, we must decide whether we will continue to live in ignorance or take the red pill and embrace the world as it truly is. And of course, there are clear differences between the real world and the simulated world of the Matrix movie. The Matrix presents a dystopian future where humanity is unknowingly trapped in a simulated reality controlled by intelligent machines. But there is a real-world truth to the manipulation and control of the masses, while select few individuals fight for freedom, and the importance of individual empowerment in resisting the forces that seek to control us. As I said before, the Matrix is comfortable. At the end of the first Matrix movie, Neo promises to shut down the Matrix and free everyone. However, this would be the equivalent of a societal collapse. If Western culture were flipped off like a switch, it would lead to mass devastation. Most of us are not prepared to live life off of the grid. Rough estimates put the survival rate of a full societal collapse at about 10% of the world's population. In real life, all the Matrix needs to do is keep us comfortable. The majority of people will choose the Matrix over the alternative, even if it means sacrificing their freedoms. Many of us will barely look away from our phones, so long as we make just enough money to pay for our very own distractions. This grim reality underscores the importance of understanding the systems that control us and being prepared to face the consequences of a collapse. It also highlights the need for individuals to take responsibility for their own lives and decisions, rather than relying on the Matrix to provide for them. We must remember that we, the individuals, are the true power. Without us, the Matrix doesn't have any power. We fight by staying educated and pushing back when the Matrix tries to take away our freedoms. This means questioning the status quo, seeking out alternative sources of information, and actively participating in the shaping of the world around us. By doing so, we can resist the forces that seek to control us and create a more free society that doesn't just benefit the world's richest people. While The Matrix is just a movie, it serves as a powerful metaphor for the manipulation and control of the masses in Western culture. It highlights the importance of individual empowerment and the need to resist the forces that seek to control us. The real-world Matrix is flawed, but what we need to understand is that right now, that Matrix is vital to us. It is, in essence, the key to the survival of 90% of the population. But the good news is, we can fix it. More and more people are taking the red pill and noticing the real-world Matrix in action. They're starting to see the strings that are attached to world leaders, and even the people pulling them. They're seeing the code of the Matrix by pointing out the scripts that are used to control us.
You may have heard about the Great Reset. Well, that's the agenda of the global elites who want to remake capitalism in their image. And it takes its name from the 50th annual conference of the World Economic Forum. Now, the advocates for the Great Reset use phrases like build back better. And if you listen closely enough, you'll hear political leaders all over the world parrot that mantra. It's hardly a coincidence.
Building back better.
Hopefully we can just work on what we say, building back better.
Building back better out of COVID, there's huge opportunities for us.
Build back better. I like to say build back better.
We must first pass the budget resolution so that we can then pass the president's Build Back Better agenda.
My Build Back Better agenda.
We must build back better.
We're going to build it back better.
Build it back better.
Building back better.
Build back better.
Build back better.
We will build back better from the COVID crisis. Better, stronger, with an answer to the many challenges New Zealand is.
One-sided news stories plaguing our country.
Plaguing our country.
The sharing of biased and
false news has become all too common on social media.
More alarming, some media outlets publish these stories simply aren't true without checking facts first. Unfortunately, some members of the media use their platforms to push their own personal bias and agenda to control exactly what people think.
And this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
The real-world Matrix is a machine, but that machine doesn't care who's operating it. Fortunately for us, we still live in a world where AI hasn't taken over. It just carries out the orders. But if we hope to regain control, we need to start paying attention. The people who will try to control us will use the age-old tactics of manipulation. They will gaslight us by telling us not to believe our own eyes and ears. They will force us into a category if we disagree with them. If you don't vote a certain way, or if you don't agree with a particular policy, you'll be labeled as a bigot, or worse. But even more powerful is the fear that they will attempt to instill in us. They will always make us feel as though an imminent threat is always right around the corner, that only they can prevent. They will tell us that we need to send our kids to fight in a foreign country, because if we don't, democracy itself will fail. The only real hope we have to defeat the Matrix is to go back to the basics. Strengthen families and communities. Take action with public schools. Demand that they teach a curriculum that's in line with the values of the community. Educate yourself in politics and actually take part in democracy. It's now easier than ever to find out where a politician is getting their campaign funds from. We need to start voting out bought and paid for politicians. Wean yourself from the dependence of the Matrix. One of the most important things that you can do for yourself is get out of debt. Keep your money local and stop supporting big corporations. Period. The rich and powerful have been exposed. We know now that they are attempting to take control of world governments, to reinvent a new society where we citizens will own nothing and be happy. Owning nothing does not create happiness. It creates more dependence, and that's exactly what they want. They want us to rely on them for everything, all aspects of our lives, for a small fee, of course.
You don't need to own farmland. We will grow the crops for you and decide on what you are allowed to eat. You don't need to own a vehicle. It's too harmful for the environment. We will supply your green energy transportation. You don't need to own a house. We will supply you with living quarters, and we will choose where you live based on diversity quotas. We are smarter than you. We know what is best for you. We will own everything. You will own nothing. You will be happy.
Ultimately, defeating the Matrix does not mean that we have to give up all technology and go back to prairie life. But it does mean we need to bring back strong family values. And we need to give our kids purpose again. Make them feel as though they play a valuable role in their community, because they do. All of us do. Pay attention to what's going on around you. Your future literally depends on it. We should consider ourselves lucky to be alive at such a crucial time in human history. A time historians are going to look back at and say they defeated the Matrix and stopped the Great Reset in its tracks. And that is it for this episode. Thank you for keeping me company, and remember, the world is full of incredible stories, so please keep coming back for more. And if there's a story you'd like to hear me share or a topic you'd like to hear me talk about, then feel free to email me at contactnebralien@gmail.com or just leave a comment. Also, if you enjoyed the content, I'd ask that you please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. I know this is stuff that everyone's asking you to do, but these small clicks of a button have such a huge impact on the channel, and it helps me out way more than you know. And of course, a huge thank you to all of you who have subscribed to the channel so far. You brave souls who took a risk on a small channel like mine, you are the real ones. Thank you for your support. And until next time, take care of yourselves out there. We'll see you.